This is the special correspondent on Elytra TV. On October 10th, residents of Lake City, Florida, witnessed an unusual phenomenon. The sky turned purple in a short period of time. This event occurred after a Category 4 Hurricane Michael, which swept across the state. On October 13th, residents of Ohio State also observed purple sky. Meteorologists suggest that this phenomenon is caused by a dispersion of sunlight. Purple color is constantly present in the sky, but the human eye is not able to perceive it. But after the hurricane, certain conditions were created that contributed to the maximum manifestation of the purple color of the sky. It is worth noting that such phenomena are rare. Their occurrence is not a natural consequence of hurricane. In February 2017, the purple sky was observed in Houston, Texas. In this case, the phenomenon lasted for about 2 hours and preceded a strong thunderstorm. Almost a year ago, on October 13, 2017, a similar phenomenon was recorded by residents of London, United Kingdom. On that day, after the Hurricane Ophelia passed, the sky turned bright yellow and the sun blood red. Meteorologists associate the unusual color of the sky with the sand brought by the Hurricane Ophelia from southern Europe and Africa. Precisely sand could bring such a strange tint to the sunlight. Also, in July 2012, China suffered a major natural disaster, after which residents observed purple sky. The eyewitness reported that earlier, in 1976, in Tangshan, before the powerful earthquake, the sky also turned purple. Based on these facts, the version was voiced that purple sky may serve as a warning about impending climatic changes.
And the fact that the climate events are unfolding today, unfortunately, in support of our words, and not only our words, in confirmation again of the words of the same Sufi and many others. This is the reality of today.
Catastrophic consequences on a global scale for civilization as a whole.
Quante più persone possibile dalle macerie delle case
Il bilancio è di una trentina di feriti e i danni sono ingenti.
Un tsunami que arrastró toda la costa noroeste.
Крупный град размером с бейсбольный мяч вот от штата Флорида.
There's 4 to 5 inches of ice.
带来北极冰寒空气的极地漩涡。
There are many subtle forms of life which are hostile to a human. People call them differently: spirits, demons, evil spirits, shadow beings, succubi, incubi. All of them are hidden in the shadows. A lot of people face these creatures during their lives, but often do not even realize it. For example, when one suddenly wakes up at night from a nightmare, all at once you feel someone is watching you, or sometimes your peripheral vision unexpectedly catches a rapid movement of shadows. Are you familiar with this feeling as if someone invisible is present nearby? But at this moment, thoughts come. There is nothing there. It only seemed to you. But is it really so?
I'd like to share my experience after watching the program The Invisible World. This program has given me a lot of information and a very big relief, as well as understanding of what is going on and what was going on. I had the following situation in my life. Once, my husband and I bought a house in the village, and I began to notice that at some point, through peripheral vision, not when you look straight, but by peripheral vision, I could see shadows running out of the shed. There is a brick construction towards the house. They were either gray or black, these shadows. I didn't know what it was, and I thought those were spirits of people. Then I asked around those people who knew the previous owners of the house. It turned out that the owner was doing magic. I had an intuitive understanding what was going on. It was like a remnant of the previous owners. Not that I was afraid, but it was unpleasant, because there was misunderstanding why they were running around. For example, I'm washing the dishes or thinking about something while being in a good mood. Then out of the corner of your eye, you see that something dark is standing and watching. I feel with my entire being that it is looking at me now. And I don't understand why all this is going on. After all, the owners have already left, but these shadows are still showing up from time to time in the house in Minsk. I mean, not only in the village, but also staying in the apartment. Sometimes I can feel that someone is watching from the front of the back. Also, there was a situation when I was sitting and thinking about something, and I felt like there was a hit in the back of the head. I felt like someone kicked me with a foot between the shoulders, and there was no understanding what was going on.
Since my childhood, I've noticed that there are some creatures which I cannot see, but I really feel them. I didn't understand how, but I clearly knew that they existed. It happened at night. Suddenly, consciousness and body woke up, and I began to feel as if the energy was being pulled out of the body. It was a real feeling that someone was pulling the energy out, dragging it out. I noticed that the body was like paralyzed. It was scared. Some kind of heat passed through it, like goosebumps, or something like that. It was kind of paralyzed, and it was lying like a stone. At the same time, I was watching that there was something on the right side of the bed. There's a wall on the left of the bed. And it was a very unpleasant feeling.
From early childhood, when I was 9 or 10 years old, I woke up at night and saw shadows in front of the bed. Sometimes one, sometimes two or three. Certainly this caused great panic and fear. As I was getting older, they became more aggressive. I woke up at night. I mean, the body was sleeping. It was paralyzed. I saw everything but couldn't do anything. I wanted to scream, to fight back. I saw them standing and doing something to me. It was a real panic fear, some kind of animal agony. Sometimes it seemed to me that my body was raised above the bed. It was a real feeling of helplessness, to such an extent that I couldn't even share it with anyone. Although there were attempts to tell, and I talked about it, but no one really believed. Most likely, such stories simply scared others, and they constantly lived in such fear.
In my younger years, that these dark ones started to show up. And sometimes I would see them, sometimes I would only sense them. Sometimes I would sense them and see them in my mind, but if I turned around to look, I couldn't see them. But if I looked away, I could see them again. I could see exactly what they looked like. And I could see in my environment, like my pets, they were like scared of these things. And I didn't like it either, but they would come. And so it went on for a long time. Even moving didn't stop it, you know, nothing stopped it. And as I got older, they got more aggressive, more personal. You know, we don't really understand all of it. Having one of those beings close is fearful.
These creatures are everywhere. They are anywhere in the world, in any city, on the street, in a building, in our houses. They show up not only at night, but also during the day. Some people believe that they can get rid of these creatures by performing various magical rituals. The real experience of people who have been negatively affected by shadows proves that it is impossible to get rid of the invisible manifestation with the help of external visible actions. Only the power of love coming from a person himself can erase the shadows.
Meaning, addressing divine powers really helps. There's another very interesting method when being attacked by any creature, regardless of whether it's incubi or like yours, such an aggressive creature. What should one do? So if, God forbid, anyone has to go through something like this, the best way is like being in lotus, the purity of love. Just open yourself in love, and you'll see how powerful this is. I mean, there's no need to hide behind a certain action, but one should immediately act from the personality, from the depth, precisely from this love. This doesn't mean to love this creature. No, you should become love yourself, and it will recoil immediately, as if, say, from fire. And by the way, after such a manifestation, as a rule, it doesn't attack again.
Started to come. Somehow I knew inside of me that I wasn't them. I was a light being. I had light. I had protection. I would stand in my light self. And how I knew that, I don't know. I haven't had one come since the night that I was meditating. And I've worked with the Alatra books, the Sensei books, only since November, end of November. As recently as a few weeks into reading the material, I had a being come in one night when I was meditating, doing my spiritual practice. And I literally saw it cross between me and the nightlight, and I felt the shadow go across me. But there wasn't anyone there. So, you know, it's one of those beings. And I just noticed it, and then I went back to doing my practice. And that's the last time I saw it.
When I watched the program, The Invisible World, it gave me an understanding and a great relief that everything's okay and such things happen. It is just something we do not see. And this does not mean that you're a bad or a good person. There's just a world that exists independently of us. I felt better after that, and I actually stopped fearing and noticing them. I live my life by my inner world, and they live their lives. I realized that I need to work more on myself. When you maintain awareness every day as much as you can, then it works at night too. There's no difference whether it's day or night. Thank you so much for this information that removes all fears and doubts. This film shows not only the existence of the invisible world, but also a way out of this situation.
After that, I began to look for the inner source, the soul. Feelings that produce vivifying water of life. And it literally took about 10 to 15 seconds, and the feeling of exhaustion disappeared. Everything returned to normal. The body calmed down. Goosebumps and brain freeze have gone. This experience really helps to understand that there is much more than we see, and that this world exists. Do not be afraid of it. You just need to understand that this world does exist.
When I read the books by Anastasia Novik, especially exhaustion, the first thing that I felt was that I would be able to solve this problem, such a push. And when I found like-minded people, I asked, guys, can you help me? There is such a problem that I myself cannot cope with. It was so destructive for me. And I was advised every time before I fall asleep, relax, and during the day, learn to be constantly in a state of love and happiness. That is, to be in the dynamic lotus practice, which is described in Sensei of Shambhala, Book 1. It took about a year. I indeed practiced every day and fell asleep in the lotus practice. One night I woke up and saw a shadow coming over me from the bathroom. But this time I didn't have any panic and response. The opposite thing happened. All the attention went into the solar plexus. I felt the soul. I felt myself being enveloped by a warm, light cocoon, and I felt so good and calm. I simply got filled with love. And I turned my back on that shadow and fell asleep. That never happened before. And from that moment on, I never saw them again. Also, there is an interesting moment regarding the fear of the dark, which went away before the last incident with the shadow. This fear went away exactly 4 weeks later after I had read the books. It has been exactly 4 weeks since I started spiritual practices. I remember the day when I was walking calmly in the dark, not turning on the light in the kitchen. We have a big house and I have quite a long way to walk. And suddenly I realized that I'm walking in the dark and I don't have any uneasiness about it. I'm walking in comfortable state, I feel good, calm, and I'm free, and there is no oppressive alertness. That is such a new understanding. Everything happened naturally. And you realize that the invisible world exists. And if you have no knowledge, then you are absolutely not protected. But when you reside in love, you are in protection. Then you are constantly protected and nothing can bother you.